Welcome once again to the Nerdy Basement. My name is John Ramos, and here I am with Scott Mans, the filmmaker and director of the film Fall. How are you doing today, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm great. Thanks.
That's awesome. So, Scott, my first question for you is more about the film. What about the story of this film and the script attracted you enough to direct it?
Well, actually, this one. So I typically would jump into films as a director that already exist, and actually, this is the first one where myself and my writing partner, who I always work with on those films, it was the first time we actually came up with this idea ourselves, funny enough. And so it's the first one where the kernel of the idea we gave birth to, let's say, on another set of another movie, and we were working at height, and we kind of were looking at how much it was scary to us to be at that height, and really that looking at how no film had really tackled height as a central core idea, as the central movie theme, and really played it out. Like, there's been height in movie moments, but never really like kind of the study of the horror of height, fear of falling type thing. And that's what kind of set us off on a journey to kind of find something kind of conceptually that could take the audience through that experience and really give people a kind of cinematic ride through the climbing of the tower and everything that kind of continues after it. So we really wanted to capture that feeling and that journey, and like I said, we looked at it like a theme park ride, honestly. Like, that was what we did. We were like, look, in its essence, why do we go to the cinema? And we go to enjoy something, to feel something. So we kind of really wanted to kind of play on that. And if the feeling of fear of falling is the central theme of the movie, then how do we get the most out of that? That was the focus.
Oh yes, I gotta say, because I have a, I'm not gonna say a light, but I am afraid of heights.
Yeah.
So while watching the film, yes, I was like, I had, my wife was next to me because I watched the screener in my laptop, and then she was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was pale, because I was like, that I have a fear of heights, and I'm watching this film, and I'm trying to not, like, I'm trying to control myself. So my next question is,
Yeah.
so was the actual tower of the film built, or was it practical techniques due to the budget that we know that it was not like a high end budget film, but
No.
just had to ask that because, again, the film looks so flawless, and you can see that the VFX are like there, but you don't see them, like you just feel the tension in the film.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of joked earlier that someone, I said we should have just said that we should have pretended it was all VFX and then win an Oscar for the VFX because exactly that. Look, we made a decision early on that we were going to have to film the film practically and do it on location for real. So and there was a lot of reasonings behind that, like largely because it would have been far too expensive wieldily and not look good. I think had we done it in the studio, it would have had the gloss of kind of fakery. If you know what I mean. And I think that would have affected the view because it's so psychological and grounded as the notion of falling and the experience is so psychological and grounded that doing it through a studio and doing it in an environment, I just don't think it would have held up, and it wouldn't have kind of put the actors there for a start, but it certainly wouldn't have kind of looked right. So we decided to go the opposite way and really, rather than doing the kind of big version, we were like, look, the other way of doing this is we just take some big cameras. We get a kind of small band of merry men of the best, our filmmaking elite team, let's call it.
Yeah.
And we found a location that was thousands of feet up. It was kind of a cliff top with a big ledge. And we based the film on a real tower out of Arizona. And we contacted the guys who literally built that tower to build sections of our tower at the edge of this cliff. And that enabled us to kind of film out and film for real at height and have actually Ginny and Grace at 2,000 feet and looking around, but have somewhere to film from. So it was, so that's how we did it. So it was purely practical, all in camera. And I think that also kind of led to other wonderful things like the weather and terrifying things, admittedly, but weather kind of playing a big part. And really giving an authentic flavor to it. I remember I would just love it. It would be wonderful to just go to work in one sense to see what's going on through the camera and just be like, oh my God, like look at, like, it just looks beautiful. And it was great. So it really, that really helped the film. And I think it was, it was a great expedition we went on, but I'm glad we did it.
That's amazing, Scott. So one other question. So
Yeah.
throughout the film, I did see a lot of like pieces that I was like asking myself, how did they film this? But my question is, out of all the scenes that we see in Fall, which
Yeah.
one would you consider the hardest that was for you and your team to film?
I think one of the most difficult was probably the ladder fall, right, where she falls off the ladder, and I really wanted that moment to be, again, referring to this roller coaster idea. I really wanted
Yeah.
that to be the kind of going over the top of a roller coaster and about to go down. Like I really wanted to try and get that feeling of, when you kind of go over the top and you start to rush down, to feel that through the lens. And so I remember it took us a lot of kind of engineering and kind of expertise, I guess, to get a camera rigged on a ladder so that someone could be there and it could really fall and they can really then
Okay.
do a drop and all these things. It was quite the feat. And luckily we managed to get really, like, we were very lucky because we were filming in pandemic when no one else was really filming, and largely because we're out in the desert with two leads, so it was kind of a very COVID friendly in one sense
Okay.
film. And so we had incredible stunt team led by Ingrid Klein, and she pulled in her riggers for this film, for the stunt work, were the guys who did the Mission Dubai Tower sequence, and so really knew how to kind of make Ginny and Grace feel comfortable and safe to do their own things. And ultimately what happened was we got Grace up there for that sequence, and she went for it. Basically, she did her own stunts and really kind of went for her own ladder fall. And I remember the difficulty of doing it was really hard. And in the moments that kind of we pick up there, they're obviously small moments. There are kind of a few seconds here, a few seconds there, putting a sequence. But I'm really glad we got them, and I'm really proud of I'm really proud of Grace, what she did, but also of everyone's efforts to kind of make that come together. It was really quite magical.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I'm now like, wow, I did not even know that one of them did all of their stunts, but wow.
Yeah.
So this question came up to mind. You worked with a deepfake dubbing company to
Mhm.
blur out a lot of the foul language in the film to get to that PG-13. So how was the process and how did it work to be working with them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was with Actually, I'll switch. I've got lots of buzzing going on in my background there. No, it was with Flawless as the company, and I'd been involved with Flawless for a while, so I knew kind of what they were up to from a technology point of view. And what it really was is, I think when people hear deepfakes, they hear this deepfake. It's definitely not deepfakes what Flawless do, but it's very much next level VFX that aren't
Okay.
really in the exist yet. They're not really out in the wild, and I only kind of have a preview of it because I know it well. I'm kind of involved with it. So I essentially what it does is it allowed us, rather than have to go back up the mountain, back up a tower and shoot reshoots of the film, we were able to kind of go into the sound studio,
Mhm.
and myself, Ginny, Grace, and Jono, the writer, and we were able to kind of rewrite lines that were the F-bombs, re-record them, and then be able to inject them into the film so that visually the performance matches up with the lip sync, and they're able to actually perform the same performance but without the offending language, as it were. So it's kind of
Okay.
a complex visual effect that's never been done before, and I think it's definitely kind of cheap. Unfortunately, like the label of deepfakes is got lots of nefarious uses and is not the
Yeah.
case. But no, we used it we used it as this very powerful tool to be basically kind of change the film, and without damaging the film is the big thing. Like we all said, look, we'll only do this and we'll only switch it out from a restricted and attempt this if it doesn't hurt the film. And that was the bar that we all kind of like gave ourselves. And the truth is, you can't tell. Like even I know the film really well, but like we were funny. Ginny, Grace, and I watched the film over the weekend, and we're like,
Uh-huh.
I literally cannot remember when. There's like 30 F-bombs that are out now, and I can't remember when they were, because it's just, it blends, it's all real. So I think that's been good, and it lets my kids watch the movie. That's what I'm kind of pleased with as much as anything else.
Oh, that's great. I really enjoyed the film. I really did like that the language was like very toned down. It was really fun. I did enjoy the film. I was still
Yeah.
scared halfway through the film, but I actually did enjoy it. So My next question would be, you use many close-up scenes to bring forth the anxiety of your characters as well. You focus a lot on the final portion of the tower. That you have a lot of like drone shots that you use to see the fall that the characters see if they fall down on the film. So tell us more about the camera work and increasing the level, anxiety, and depth of your characters perched atop this tower and really diving home the fear of heights.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, great. I think, look, I think filming it, McGregor, the DP, he very much was the purveyor of, look, we have to find the perfect location. We have to line it up with our big light in the sky, and we have to film this stuff for real. And that's how we kind of get the scope and the beauty of this thing on the big screen. And he really pushed me, especially shooting wide. But like we basically would shoot with, say, these drones or with technos or whatever we're shooting with. We would typically on the top of that mountain, you would only have a little director's monitor this big. So like the scope is out of whack a little. And what Mac did is he brought a VR headset, which he'd programmed up so that when you put it on, you were sitting in an IMAX theater and you could watch what was coming through the screen and watch it play out. So we could line shots up for the theater as opposed to for a little, little director's viewing pad. And it made a lot of difference to how we grammatically kind of played out and laid out and the cinematography in the movie. So we were very conscious of that, and that I think kind of played into the scope and the scale, and obviously combining quite a lot of drone work. But like a film like this, I think you also, there's an efficiency of it. Like I remember we had one very long drone day where we essentially kind of like cleared out. We had, the drone up there throughout the day for different times of day and different sequences. And it was, and there was a lot to capture there because it's just so naturally beautiful that there's a lot that we get and kind of tell the story. But I think in terms of capturing the anxieties and really kind of tapping into the psychological tensions of the film and really the fear of what
the fear of heights.
Fear of heights, yeah, right. I think that's all through Ginny and Grace, and their performance is so incredible, and I think they really grasped what they had, which is like being put in this situation that it was being atop the tower and all these things happening. They really kind of played with that in their performance and kind of let it feed through. And I think capturing that and then the further part of honestly them doing their own stunts allowed us to kind of put the cameras in a position where you couldn't normally put them. So not only were we in a position of like, wow, look at the scope and the scale of how high we are, but to have kind of Ginny hanging off there for real and see that it's Ginny's face, or have Grace kind of fall off there and see it's Grace, like that is exceptionally rare. And I don't, there's not many instances of where you can do that in cinema, and it really required kind of excellent stunt teams, excellent planning, incredible execution from a cinematography point of view, but basically big balls from Grace and Ginny to actually go ahead and do that. So it's they were absolutely, they crushed it, and it was unbelievable what they got out of that.
No, I gotta say again, kudos for the film. I again, it's amazing work. So my final question will be, Scott. So I know that you've worked previously with Jonathan Frank in most of your films. So now I know that you guys are reuniting for a new upcoming project. Can you give us at least a couple of details of your upcoming project?
I don't. There's there's a couple on the boil, so I actually don't want to mislead. But I think you're talking about #tsunami. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, we'll see. We're going to see where that one goes. We actually, it's a great script and a great project. But we have that one. I don't know if I can face another disaster movie just yet. We'll have to see.
Okay.
But no, we actually have a couple that we're playing with right now. And I think, but this film really kind of took us in a place where I think it got us to our kind of core filmmaking roots again in a really healthy way. And I want to see more films like this kind of get the opportunity of this at theaters, and I think that there's a way to kind of strip things back and really get a lot out of certain situations if you go about it a certain way. And I'm really pleased with that achievement of this, and I'll go about the next film in a different way for sure.
That's amazing. I hope that we can get more information of hashtag tsunami in the future, Scott. Thank you very much for your time here with
Thank
us
you.
at the Nerdy Basement, and as
Love
well,
it.
thanks for Lionsgate for giving us this opportunity. Fall will be available in theaters on August 12th, so don't miss out. I really got to say that this film is amazing. So thank you very much, Scott, once again, and to Lionsgate for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks very much, man.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.